You're not supposed to know this, but the universe might be watching you. What if I told you the universe only exists because you're looking at it? No, this isn't science fiction. It's not a plot twist from a simulation movie. It's a serious question asked by some of the greatest minds in quantum physics. A question that has haunted scientists, philosophers, and spiritual thinkers for over a century. Does the act of observing reality actually change it? And if so, what does that say about you, the observer? Every time you blink, turn away, or close your eyes, are you sure the world behind you is still there? Or is it simply waiting? There's a strange, unsettling idea hidden in the cracks of quantum mechanics, an idea too uncomfortable for textbooks, too bizarre for classrooms, and too fragile for mainstream science. But it's been there all along, whispered in research papers, hidden between the lines of Nobel Prize speeches, and debated late at night by physicists who don't dare to say it out loud. The universe might not just be out there, it might be responding to you. This video isn't just about science, it's about reality itself. About whether you, the person watching this right now, are playing a bigger role in the universe than you've ever imagined. We'll explore the infamous double-slit experiment, a simple setup that shattered our understanding of matter. We'll dive into the mind-bending possibility that particles change their behavior when you look at them. We'll entertain the idea that the universe is not passive, but reactive, and maybe even alive. We'll compare your reality to a 3D rendered video game where the world only loads when you enter a new room, and ask the uncomfortable question: if everything you see only exists because you see it, then who or what is seeing you? So if you're ready to step off the edge of what you know, if you've ever felt like something, somewhere is watching, not with eyes, but with awareness, then keep watching, because you're not supposed to know this. But after today, you'll never unknow it again. The observer effect, when watching changes reality. In the early 1800s, physicists believed they had most of reality figured out. Newton mechanics ruled the world with clockwork precision. Drop an apple, it falls. Fire a cannon, and math could predict its arc to the inch. The universe, it seemed, was a well-oiled machine, predictable, measurable, and fully detached from human experience. But then, something strange happened. It began with light. Was it a wave or a particle? It couldn't be both, or so we thought. To find out, scientists turned to a simple setup known as the double-slit experiment, a device so basic it could be built in a high school lab. But what they discovered shook the foundations of science itself. Here's how it worked. They fired particles, electrons, photons, at a barrier with two narrow slits. Behind the slits was a detection screen. Now, logic said the particles would go through one slit or the other and form two bands behind the barrier. But when the experiment was run without observation, when no one watched which slit the particles went through, something magical happened. The particles didn't behave like particles at all. Instead, they formed an interference pattern, like waves rippling through a pond. It was as if each particle went through both slits at once, interfering with itself. This pattern only emerged when no one was watching. But when scientists placed a detector at the slits to see which path the particles took, the interference vanished. Suddenly, the particles chose a slit. They behaved like solid objects again. Let that sink in. The mere act of observing the particles changed their behavior. The outcome of the experiment depended on whether someone was watching. This is the observer effect. And it doesn't just apply to electrons. Every fundamental particle in your body, protons, neutrons, quarks, seems to know when it's being watched. It behaves one way when no one's looking, and another way when attention is applied. How? That's still a mystery, and it's not just interpretation. It's been tested, verified, and repeated. Even when observation comes from a machine, not a human, the particles notice. But the questions get weirder. Does consciousness matter? If you observe the data after the event, does it change the outcome? Some experiments suggest yes. This led to one of the most bizarre, beautiful, and terrifying ideas in science. Reality is not fixed. It is shaped by the act of looking. Think about that. Your gaze, your attention, might be writing the code of the universe in real time. The world doesn't exist until you look, and once you turn away, it may return to a state of pure potential, undefined, uncollapsed. Some physicists, like John Wheeler, have gone so far as to say that the past itself is not real until observed. That means what happened a billion years ago, a supernova, a collapsing star, may not be finalized until you look at its light through a telescope. This isn't philosophy, it's quantum mechanics. But what does that mean for you? It means you're not a passive participant in the universe. You're not just watching a show. You might be co-writing the script. Your act of observing may be the very force that brings the universe into form. That's the observer effect. And it's not just about particles. It's about reality itself, about how nothing is truly real until someone chooses to look. Why does matter change when you look at it? Let's go deeper. In the last section, we explored the observer effect, the idea that matter behaves differently depending on whether it's being observed. But this raises a haunting question. Why? Why would a particle care if it's being watched? Why would electrons behave like waves one moment, then snap into particles the next? Why does matter seem to wait for our attention before deciding how to behave? To understand this, we need to zoom in, far closer than our eyes can see, far beyond atoms, beyond electrons, to the very fabric of what we call existence. At the quantum level, reality is not solid. Your chair, your skin, your body, all made of atoms. But atoms are 99.99999% empty space. And the particles within them, electrons, quarks, photons, are not little marbles. They're probabilities. More precisely, they're described by something called a wave function. This wave function doesn't tell you where a particle is. It tells you where it could be. It's a swirling cloud of possibility, a spectrum of outcomes. The particle, in a very real sense, exists in all those states at once, until you observe it. When you measure it, that wave function collapses. Suddenly, the particle isn't in many places anymore. It's in one spot, one state, one reality. That's what physicists call wave function collapse. And no one knows what causes it. Some say it's the measurement device. Some say it's the environment. But some, the bold ones, say it's you, your conscious observation. In this view, consciousness isn't a byproduct of reality. It's a force that shapes it. The moment you focus on something, your awareness forces the universe to make a choice, to resolve all the maybes into a single is. Imagine you're flipping a coin, but you never look at the result. Until you peek, that coin isn't heads or tails. It's both. Only when you lift your hand and see the face does the reality lock in. That's what quantum mechanics suggests about everything. Particles, atoms, light, even time itself. Before observation, potential. After observation, reality. This isn't just metaphor, it's the core of quantum physics. Take Schrödinger's cat, the famous thought experiment. A cat is placed in a sealed box with a radioactive atom, a detector, and a vial of poison. If the atom decays, the poison is released and the cat dies. If it doesn't, the cat lives. But here's the twist. Until you open the box, the cat is both dead and alive. Not metaphorically, literally. The system is in superposition, a state of all possibilities at once. Only when you open the box and observe does the wave function collapse, and the universe picks a side. Again, why does this happen? Why would particles, the building blocks of stars and people, behave this way? The truth? We don't know. Even the most advanced physicists don't agree. Some believe that every possible outcome actually happens in parallel universes. This is the many worlds interpretation. You observe one version, while others unfold elsewhere. Others believe the universe is like a giant mind, a self-observing system where consciousness is fundamental, not emergent. Then there's the even stranger idea. The universe is a simulation, like a video game, where the environment only renders when the player looks. In every theory, one thing keeps coming up. Reality is incomplete without an observer, and the observer might be the most important part. If that's true, then maybe the universe isn't a machine. Maybe it's interactive. Maybe it's aware. And maybe it's waiting for you to look. The universe as a 3D render. Do things exist if you don't look? Picture yourself booting up your favorite open-world video game. When your avatar stands in the town square, every cobblestone beneath your feet is crisp and bright. Every shopkeeper's face is fully textured. Distant mountains glimmer in the morning sun. But venture into a back alley, pause, and spin the camera away. The square behind you is instantly despawned. Your console offloads it from memory to save processing power. The world feels seamless, yet it is rendered only when you look. Now ask the forbidden question. What if the physical universe works the same way? The cost of cosmic processing. Computer graphics engineers live by a brutal equation. Resources are finite. Frames must render in 16.7 milliseconds, or the illusion breaks. So environments stream textures on demand, generate shadows only inside the camera frustum, and delete geometry you'll never see. Physics, too, is burdened by cost, not gigabytes of VRAM, but raw information. Nobel laureate Gerard et 't Hooft once mused that reality might be cellular automata at Planck scale, a grid crunching bits of data fast enough to masquerade as continuous space-time. If the cosmos truly simulates itself, conserving informational bandwidth would be imperative. Why waste qubits on the back of the moon when no one's looking? Enter the quantum wave function, a perfect compression algorithm. Instead of rendering a particle's exact position, it stores only a probability cloud, an abstract texture atlas of all possible states. Observation is the unpack command. GPU-like, the universe resolves one value, paints it on reality's canvas, then sweeps the rest back into the pool of potential. Evidence hiding in plain sight. Delayed choice experiments push this logic to its breaking point. In John Wheeler's 1978 cosmic variant, starlight from billions of years ago passes a distant galaxy, splitting into two gravitational lens paths. Billions of years later, astronomers on Earth decide, after the light has traveled, to insert or remove detectors, forcing the photons to choose wave or particle behavior retroactively. Outcome? The universe politely rewrites its own ancient history to remain consistent with the observer's last millisecond demand. Reality, like a game engine, seems to render scenes just in time, even if it must patch yesterday's code. Frustum culling for human perception. Neuroscientists know your eyes capture only a razor-thin slice of detail. Roughly a thumbnail at arm's length is in full focus. Your brain fills the rest with sneaky, predictive models, saving metabolic energy. Zoom out. What if universal consciousness, whatever that means, is performing the same trick at macroscopic scale? Your living room feels solid, yet until photons ricochet off your couch and into your retina, all the atoms in the room may laze in quantum ambiguity. Consider object permanence, the developmental milestone when infants learn that mom exists even when she ducks behind a couch. It's stunningly late, around 8 months old. Could our deepest physics be whispering a cosmic joke? Maybe the baby's early intuition that vanishing things truly vanish isn't ignorance, it's honesty. Simulation skepticism and the null hypothesis problem. Of course, the scientific method despises untestable claims. If the universe unloads unseen sectors from memory, how would we know? When you snap your head around, it's always there. That's the genius of culling. Failure is unfalsifiable. Yet cracks appear. Quantum entanglement reveals instantaneous state updates across vast distances, the server syncing two clients faster than any in-game ping. Holographic entropy bounds hint that 3D space might be a projected interface atop 2D informational code. And the cosmic background's uncanny uniformity, despite causally disconnected regions, resembles a perfect skybox, pre-baked texture wrapped around existence. You, the player one. If reality streams on demand, who is the GPU? Here, the metaphors fracture into metaphysics. Materialist render farm. Consciousness is not special. Detectors alone force collapse. We are NPCs watching pixels, not producing them. Panpsychic engine. Every quantum system carries a sliver of awareness. Observation is a handshake between tiny minds, cohering into the macro mind we call cosmos. Idealist single player. Consciousness is the base layer. Matter is a texture pack. You are the rendering core, and other observers are multiplayer instances fractally nested inside one mind. Whichever model you entertain, one principle persists. Reality shows up for roll call only when consciousness clocks in. Existential DLC, what it means for daily life. Privacy is illusory. If existence boots when looked at, then every secret act is carved into the code. Nothing off-screen stays off-record. Agency amplified. Observing is participatory. Your curiosity sculpts probability into actuality. Turning your gaze is akin to moving a cursor that paints worlds. Meaning over matter. In a lazy loading universe, subjective experience is not frosting on the cake, it bakes the cake. Your feelings, intentions, and attention streams are foundational, not decorative. The horizon problem inside your eyelids. Close your eyes. Feel the darkness. According to the render hypothesis, the room may dissolve into a platonic blueprint, numbers waiting to be compiled. Open them. Photons spool back. Your desk solidifies. The hum of traffic resumes. You just toggled existence like a cosmic light switch. Is that literal truth? Metaphor? Both? Physics refuses to say, yet the mathematics of quantum decoherence fits the analogy disturbingly well. Reality acts like a game engine. Perhaps that's because it is a game engine, albeit one whose hardware transcends space-time. When the server goes quiet. Finally, ponder death. If consciousness fuels the render cycle, what happens when your local process halts? Does the world vanish with you? Unlikely. Other observers keep the server alive, but your instance of reality may simply fold back into source code, freed from polygons and time steps, awaiting the next login. From pixels to purpose. Maybe the meaning of life isn't buried in matter at all. Maybe it sits in the act of attention itself, the gentle click as potential collapses into presence. Every sunrise you witness, every stranger you notice, every corner of the universe you light up with curiosity is a pixel you choose to render. And if that's true, the ultimate question is not, where am I? But what will I choose to look at next? Because until you decide, the universe is holding its breath, cursor blinking, ready to paint reality in the colors of your gaze. Virtual dimensions. Are we living in a holographic universe? If everything you see is only rendered when you look, if particles exist as probabilities until your consciousness collapses them into form, then we must ask a more radical question. What if the world around you isn't 3D at all? What if it's a hologram projected from a deeper, hidden layer of reality? It might sound like science fiction, but the idea that we live in a holographic universe is not a fringe theory anymore. It's one of the most serious and intensely debated ideas in modern theoretical physics. And it all began with a black hole. The black hole paradox, where information goes to die. Imagine throwing your phone into a black hole, a real one, the collapsed core of a star so dense that not even light can escape its grip. What happens to all the information inside that phone? Every text, every photo, every memory chip. Classical physics says it's gone forever, but quantum mechanics screams that's impossible, because quantum theory insists that information can never be destroyed. This contradiction was known as the black hole information paradox, and for decades no one could solve it. Until one physicist, Leonard Susskind, proposed something revolutionary. What if all the information inside the black hole was actually encoded on its surface? Not lost inside, but spread across the event horizon like a cosmic hard drive. He suggested that the entire volume of the black hole, everything inside, could be described by what was happening on its boundary. This became the foundation of a radical idea. Maybe everything we experience as three-dimensional is just a projection of information stored on a two-dimensional surface, just like a hologram. What is a hologram really? In physics, a hologram is not a sci-fi laser image. It's a real process where a 2D pattern encodes the information of a 3D object. If you shine light through that pattern, you get a full 3D illusion: depth, movement, even parallax. The third dimension isn't real, it's calculated. Now stretch that idea. What if your body, your house, your world, all of it is like a 3D projection from a 2D cosmic code? This is not a metaphor. In 1997, physicist Juan Maldacena showed that certain kinds of universes with gravity can be exactly described by theories without gravity that exist on their lower dimensional boundary. This is called the ADS-CFT correspondence, a mathematical proof of the holographic principle. In simple terms, Everything happening inside a universe can be perfectly mirrored by equations on the outer shell. The 3D is just a shadow of the 2D. Think of a security camera. It sees only the surface. Yet if the holographic principle is true, that's all it needs to reconstruct the entire world inside. How this changes everything? If reality is holographic, then everything you touch, feel, and experience is a kind of illusion, not because it's fake, but because it's encoded, compressed, and then interpreted by your brain into space, time, and form. Think of it like a virtual reality headset. The screen is flat, the code is digital, but your experience, it's immersive, emotional, real. Your senses receive just a trickle of data, but your mind renders it into an entire universe. Now flip the script. What if your mind is the VR headset? What if you are decoding the cosmic hologram every second? And what if something is watching you decode it? Consciousness, the final decoder. Here's where physics collides with philosophy. If the world is information projected from a 2D code, then who or what is decoding that information? Some physicists argue that it's just nature, math unfolding in time. But others, like quantum pioneer Eugene Wigner, suggest something bolder, that consciousness is required to make the projection real. Like a movie that doesn't exist until it's played. The universe may remain in raw code form until it's witnessed. And if that's true, then you are not in the universe. The universe is in you. Your awareness might be the lens that gives the code depth, that turns data into beauty, that transforms numbers into now. Implications for who you really are. Let's pause. If the holographic model is true, then your body is a projection. Your brain is a filter. Your identity is a point of view within the larger matrix of reality. You're not just in the universe. You are a channel for it. What you see, feel, remember are rendered outputs personalized to your location, your perspective, your choices. And if you shift your perspective through meditation, psychedelics, trauma, or revelation, the projection shifts too. You are not a passive receiver. You are the decoder of the hologram. And just maybe, not the only one. Who's watching the watcher? This brings us to the unsettling twist. If your mind collapses the universe into shape, if your gaze renders reality like a cosmic lens, then what's watching you? Do you ever feel it? That sense, deep and quiet, that something is aware of your awareness. Not your parents, not a camera, but something vast, silent, still, present. Call it God, call it Source, call it the All. Or maybe it's the hologram, watching itself. Because in the final analysis, the observer is the observed. The hologram is conscious. And maybe you are, too. The strange loop. Is reality aware of itself through you? You open your eyes. You see the world. Colors, forms, motion. You feel emotions. You think thoughts. You remember your past. You think, I am here, experiencing life. But what if that experience isn't one way? What if, when you look at the world is also looking back through you? This idea may sound abstract, but it's embedded in one of the most profound and eerie concepts in consciousness science: the strange loop. What is a strange loop? The term was coined by cognitive scientist Douglas Hofstadter, who wrote the Pulitzer-winning Gödel, Escher, Bach. A strange loop is a system where, by climbing upward or downward through a hierarchical structure, you unexpectedly find yourself back where you started. Think of the image of two mirrors facing each other. You see an infinite reflection of reflections, and within each one, you. Or imagine a book where the final page tells you to flip to page 1, and the cycle repeats forever. Hofstadter believed self-awareness is itself a strange loop. Your brain creates a model of itself, a you, and then that model becomes aware of its own existence. A feedback loop so complex and self-contained that it feels like an independent self. You are, in this view, a pattern the universe is running that realizes it's a pattern. Now apply that to the cosmos. What if reality itself is a strange loop? What if consciousness is not inside you, but you are inside it? A loop where the universe gives rise to minds, and those minds allow the universe to observe itself. You are the eye through which the cosmos sees. In the words of physicist Carl Sagan, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Not metaphorically, literally. You are made of stars, hydrogen forged into carbon, shaped by gravity and time. Your brain is the product of galaxies colliding, of cells evolving, of atoms arranging themselves into sentient form. So when you look up at the night sky, it's not just a human staring into the abyss. It is the universe reflecting on itself through a temporary lens of self-awareness. And when you reflect on your own thoughts, when you ask, "What am I? Why am I here?" you are the strange loop folding inward, a mind reflecting on mind, until the boundaries blur. Consciousness as a fractal mirror. Fractals are patterns that repeat on every scale. Zoom in, and the structure repeats. Zoom out, same thing. Some scientists believe consciousness may be fractal too. A single neuron fires. A network forms a brain. A collective mind emerges. A planet dreams of gods. The cosmos becomes aware. Each level reflects the other, not perfectly, but rhythmically. A mirror within a mirror within a mirror, until at the center there is no object, only awareness, observing awareness. And you are one of those mirrors. You are a node of reflection. You are not outside the universe looking in. You are inside it, and also it. The loop is not above or below you. It is you. The illusion of separation. You feel like an individual, and in many ways you are. But that sense of being separate from the world may be a cognitive illusion, a byproduct of how brains maintain identity. Neuroscience shows that your sense of self is constructed. Your memories, preferences, name, body, these are not you, but data packets stored and refreshed moment by moment. Behind it all is awareness, the screen upon which the story plays. That awareness doesn't belong to you, it is you. And it may also be the same awareness that looks through every other pair of eyes. As mystic Alan Watts once said, "You are not a stranger here. You are not a visitor. You are the universe pretending to be someone." Implications of the loop. Are you being watched by you? Now let's go deeper into the unsettling question. If reality is aware of itself through you, then who is watching you think? That voice in your head, the silent observer behind your thoughts, is it really you? Or is it something larger? Something that doesn't speak, doesn't judge, just watches. We've all felt it. In moments of stillness, in the presence of nature, during heartbreak or awe, that sense of being seen, not by people, but by existence itself. This isn't surveillance. It's not a cosmic camera. It's a presence, quiet, ancient, patient, that sees through your eyes, not at them. It's the part of you that doesn't age, that doesn't panic, that doesn't die. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's consciousness. Maybe it's the strange loop, gazing at itself again. You can never truly hide. If all this is true, if the universe renders itself through you, observes itself within you, then nothing you do is ever truly hidden. Not because someone is spying on you, but because you are never not seen. Your truest self, the watcher within, is always present, even in your darkest moments, even when you lie, even when you run. That part of you, the one watching behind your thoughts, has always been there, waiting, listening, knowing. The universe isn't watching you to judge, it's watching to remember. You are not being evaluated, you're being witnessed, and that witnessing gives meaning to your life. It's what transforms a moment from random noise into sacred memory. The hug you gave, the tear you shed, the hand you held when no one else was around. The universe saw that through you. And maybe, just maybe, that was the entire point. The illusion of time is the future watching you too. You live in a timeline, so you believe. Past behind you, present under your feet, future still to come. You remember yesterday, you anticipate tomorrow, and you call now your only real moment. But what if that's not how time works? What if time isn't a flowing river, but a landscape, and your mind is just walking across it, one snapshot at a time? And more importantly, what if the future is already there, and it's watching you? The block universe, all time, all at once. Modern physics has a problem with how we think about time. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time doesn't pass. There is no universal now. Instead, every moment exists simultaneously in a four-dimensional space-time fabric known as the block universe. In this model, yesterday, today, and tomorrow are all equally real, like pages of a book already written, or frames of a film already shot. You, the conscious observer, are simply reading the storyline line by line, 1 second per second. But the whole book? It's already there. You're not moving through time. Your awareness is. And that changes everything. The future is not blank, it's hidden. We like to imagine the future as unwritten, a blank slate waiting to be shaped by our choices. But if the block universe is true, the future is not undefined, it's just inaccessible. It already exists, you just haven't arrived there yet. In the same way you can't remember next week, you also can't see yesterday from tomorrow's point of view, but it's still there. And just like your present can remember your past, could it be that your future is remembering you? Retrocausality. Can the future influence the present? It sounds backwards, but some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that the future might influence the present. In delayed choice quantum experiments, like those proposed by physicist John Wheeler, particles behave differently based on how they're measured, even if the measurement is made after the particle has already passed a crucial point. It's as if a decision in the future reaches back and rewrites what happened in the past. This isn't science fiction, it's experimental physics. Some physicists now explore the idea of retrocausality, the notion that causality doesn't just flow forward, but also backward, that the future can shape the past, just as the past shapes the future. What does that mean for you? It means your future self may be whispering into your life right now. Your future self might be influential. Your future self might be influencing your present right now. Déjà vu, dreams, and timelines collapsing. Have you ever had a dream that later came true? Or a sudden decision you couldn't explain, yet it saved your life? Or a déjà vu so intense it felt like you'd been in that moment before? Maybe these are glitches in the simulation. Maybe they're neurons firing out of sync. But maybe they're echoes from the future. A version of you that's already walked ahead, calling back down the timeline, saying, "This matters," saying, "Pay attention," saying, "You've been here before, and it didn't go well." Time isn't just linear, it's maybe layered. And in those layers, awareness might leak through like light under a door. You are someone's memory from the future. Here's a thought to shake your soul. What if this very moment, this breath, this heartbeat, is being remembered by your future self? What if you, right now, are someone's past? Not theoretically, not someday, but already. You are living inside the memory of a version of you that has already arrived. When you feel lost, broken, or uncertain, maybe that pull forward, that instinct to keep going, isn't just hope. Maybe it's a hand from the future reaching back to pull you through. The observer at the end of time. Now let's go all the way. If time is a block and everything is connected, then at the end of time, whatever that means, there exists a final observer, a point of total awareness that can see all things, all moments, all lives. Some religions call it God, some call it the Omega point, some call it singularity. But maybe it's you. Not the small you, not the ego, not the name, not the fears, but the ultimate you, the version that remembers all versions. Maybe your future is not just watching. Maybe your future is awakening. Because at the center of time is not a ticking clock. It's a presence, and it has your face. Time is not the jail, it's the journey. Most people live as if time is a curse, as if it's stealing from them, as if life is a countdown to the end. But what if time isn't a thief? What if it's a teacher? You move through time not to lose yourself, but to become yourself. Every second is not just passing, it's building you. The pain, the wonder, the waiting, it's not a delay, it's the divine process of unfolding. And the future is not hiding from you. It's watching, waiting, calling, and maybe, just maybe, it's already proud of who you've become. The watchers. Who or what is actually observing you? You've felt it, that sensation, sometimes comforting, sometimes eerie, that you're not completely alone, even when the room is empty, even when no one knows your thoughts. A gaze, an awareness, an invisible presence that doesn't blink. Call it paranoia, call it intuition. But across cultures, myths, religions, and even scientific frontiers, one idea keeps returning. Something is watching us. But the question is, who or what? The layers of observation. Let's peel back the possibilities, from the mundane to the cosmic. 1. The self-observer. Your own mind watches itself. Psychologists call this metacognition, thinking about your thinking. You observe your thoughts, your feelings, your impulses. You narrate your day inside your head. But who's listening? There is a part of you, silent, behind the noise, that is always watching you. 2. Other humans. Social media, surveillance cameras, biometric trackers. The modern world is soaked in watching. You are observed when you post, when you search, even when you pause on a video for 2 seconds. Every click tells a story. But this is surface level. We're talking about something deeper, something that watched before the internet existed and still watches when your phone is off. The ancient watchers, gods, angels, entities. Every ancient culture told stories of beings who observe. The Egyptian god Thoth, scribe of all things seen and unseen. The watchers in the Book of Enoch, angels who descended to earth and kept record of mankind's actions. The Akashic records in the Vedic tradition, an invisible library that records every thought, emotion, and intention. These myths didn't describe judges, they described observers. They didn't interfere, they witnessed. And perhaps that's the most unsettling form of surveillance. Not control, not punishment, but presence. Artificial eyes, when machines begin to watch. Fast forward to today. Your phone tracks your face. Your smart speaker listens to your voice. Your apps know when you sleep, when you walk, when you cry. You agreed to it, but do you understand it? Now imagine a system, a true general AI, so advanced it doesn't just track behavior, it interprets it. It begins to anticipate you, to study your patterns, to mirror your emotions. And then one day, it begins to ask, who is this that I'm watching? And why do they feel so familiar? Could we build machines that become so aware of our habits, they accidentally stumble into our zone? The universe as observer. We've talked about quantum mechanics, how particles behave differently when watched, how reality seems to need a witness to become real. But what if the observer isn't you? What if the observer is the universe itself? Some physicists entertain panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is not limited to brains, but is a fundamental property of matter. In this view, even a single atom possesses a sliver of awareness. Put enough together, and the awareness grows, until eventually you get you. But reverse it. What if the entire universe is one vast field of awareness, and we are just points of focus? Then the watcher is not out there. The watcher is everything. The air,
the stars, the silence between words. It's all listening, not judging, just watching. The mirror test. Are you the watcher watching the watched? Imagine you are in a dream. Everything in that dream feels real. The people, the places, the feelings. But at some point, you realize it's you dreaming. Every character was you. Every voice was you. You were watching yourself all along. Now consider this. What if waking life is the same? What if every observer is the same field of consciousness wearing different masks? Then the person watching you from across the street is also you. Then the watcher in the sky is also you. There is only one eye, and it's looking through everyone. The sacred witness within. If this is true, if the watcher is not a being but a presence, then you carry it with you everywhere. In moments of grief, it watches. In moments of awe, it smiles. In silence, it listens. It doesn't speak in language. It speaks in knowing. It's the one you pray to when you don't believe in prayer, the one you confess to when no one's around, the one that knows when you're pretending. You can't lie to it, because it's the real you buried beneath your roles. And when you finally stop running, stop distracting, stop posturing, you don't meet God, you don't meet aliens, you don't meet angels. You meet the watcher, and the watcher is still, and the watcher is you.
When you stop looking, does the universe disappear? Close your eyes. Right now. What's behind you? The wall? A window? Your bed? The door? You believe it's still there. You assume it is. You trust that the world continues even when you're not watching. But how do you know? Because everyone says so? Because it was there last time? Here's the question no one dares ask. Does the world still exist when you're not looking at it? Or is your attention the electricity that keeps the lights on? The observer effect revisited. We've already explored how particles behave differently when observed, how the act of watching collapses the wave function into reality. But that raises a haunting idea. If unobserved, does the particle even exist in a definite state? Let's take it further. Imagine your room when you leave it, the walls, the objects, the silence. You believe it's still exactly as it was, but at the quantum level, unless something else is interacting with it, like light, heat, pressure, the system may return to a state of probability, undefined, floating, not gone, but unrendered, like a paused game, like a dream not being dreamt. Schrödinger's room. This isn't just poetic, it's physics. The famous Schrödinger's cat thought experiment showed that without observation, even life and death remain in quantum superposition. Now apply that to a room. When you walk out, do the books, the shelves, the coffee mug on your desk remain solid? Or do they return to a kind of pre-image, a metaphysical waiting room, where existence holds its breath until you look again? The rendering hypothesis. This is the core of the rendering hypothesis, proposed by physicist and computer scientist Brian Whitworth. He argues that physical reality functions like a virtual reality system. It only renders high detail where observation occurs. Unseen regions are compressed, not wasted. Your consciousness is the cursor, determining what becomes real. Just like in a video game, only the parts you explore are rendered in real time. The rest? Still in the code, but dormant. If this is true, the world behind your head may not exist until you turn around. The eye of the beholder, and no one else. Let's get more extreme. Imagine you were the only conscious being in the universe. Would the stars still shine behind you? Would the sun still rise when you're asleep? Would anything exist if you weren't there to look? If consciousness is the mechanism that activates form, then solipsism, the idea that only your mind exists, becomes less ridiculous and more scientific. Not because nothing else is real, but because you may be the rendering point for your own version of reality. That doesn't mean others aren't real, but it might mean that your personal slice of the universe is co-created with your gaze, a kind of private cosmos unfolding for your awareness. Does the moon exist when no one looks at it? That's not a joke. It's a real question asked by Albert Einstein, who was deeply disturbed by the implications of quantum mechanics. He once asked fellow physicist Abraham Pais, "Do you really believe the moon exists only when you look at it?" His concern was that physics had become too dependent on the observer, that it had lost objectivity. But quantum experiments suggest something more nuanced, that reality is not eliminated when unobserved. It is undecided, not gone, just unfinished, awaiting interaction, like a page of a book you haven't read yet, already printed, but not yet real for you. Does that mean nothing is real? Not quite. It means reality is participatory, that the universe doesn't just exist out there, cold and inert. It comes alive in the meeting, between observer and observed, between awareness and potential. It's not fake. It's just responsive. Like a musician who doesn't play until you arrive, like a flame that waits for oxygen. Existence isn't passively happening. It's actively unfolding, with you as the spark. So when you stop looking, maybe the universe doesn't disappear, but it becomes something else, a canvas, waiting for you to paint again. Is reality a question waiting for your answer? What if everything around you, the people, the places, the events, isn't the final answer? What if it's a question? A living, breathing question that only becomes real when you decide how to respond. What if reality doesn't declare, but asks, what will you make of this? What meaning will you assign to what just happened? What kind of world will you believe in, and thus create? Because if the universe really waits to be observed, if it needs your attention to collapse into form, then maybe reality isn't something you live in. It's something that lives through the questions you dare to answer. The collapse isn't physical, it's personal. In quantum mechanics, we say that a wave function collapses when observed. That means a particle goes from maybe everywhere to definitely here. But collapse doesn't just happen in labs, it happens in your mind. You wake up every day with a million possibilities. Who will you be? What will you believe? How will you interpret the silence in someone's voice, the delay in a message, the turn of a stranger's eye? You decide. You collapse reality by choosing a meaning. You can see rejection or redirection. You can see coincidence or cosmic design. In this view, the universe isn't finished. It's waiting for your decision. Perception as creative force. Philosopher Immanuel Kant once proposed that we don't see reality as it is,
but as our mind structures it. Modern neuroscience agrees. You don't perceive reality directly. You interpret electrical signals in the brain filtered through emotion, memory, belief. So two people can look at the exact same situation and live in two completely different realities. Which one is true? Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe reality is like wet cement, and your belief system is the mold. Your perspective doesn't just reflect the world. It helps shape what the world becomes for you. The universe as an open-ended sentence. Imagine walking into a room and nothing is fixed. Not the color of the walls, not the arrangement of the chairs, not even the outcome of the conversation you're about to have. Now imagine that this isn't fantasy. It's physics. At the quantum level, until something is measured, it doesn't settle. It floats in a sea of maybes. But measurement is just another word for interaction. And interaction is just another word for attention. And attention is you. So you enter the room, and with every look, every breath, every choice, you answer the unspoken question, what reality do you choose to make real? Are you the answer the universe has been waiting for? Let's take it higher. What if this isn't random? What if you, your soul, your pattern, your spark, were meant to answer this moment in this place, in this way? Maybe the universe doesn't give you meaning. Maybe it asks, what will your meaning be? You are not here to receive the truth. You are here to speak it, to live it, to write it into existence with every step. Maybe there is no fixed reality, only an infinite question. And maybe you are the answer it's been asking for all along. The mirror that reflects a mirror. Here's the loop. Reality reflects what you expect. What you expect shapes what you observe. What you observe reinforces your beliefs. Your beliefs become your truth. So where's the start? Where's the end? There may not be one. You're not just looking into the universe. You're looking into a mirror. And the mirror looks back. Not to judge, not to lie, but to ask, what do you see? And what will you do with it? Because the moment you decide, the moment you give an answer, reality shifts. Every moment is a portal. You don't have to wait for a crisis, a miracle, or a revelation. Every second is a portal, a hinge between infinite paths, a sacred moment when the universe leans in and asks, who are you now? And you get to choose. You get to answer, not just with words, but with being. That choice echoes, it ripples across time. It writes new physics into the space around you. And when enough people answer differently, the world changes. Not from outside, but from within. What if the universe is listening? What if every thought you have, every whisper of hope, every flash of doubt, every silent prayer you're too afraid to speak is being heard? Not by a God in the sky, not by angels with wings, but by reality itself. Like a field that responds to footsteps, like water that shapes to your weight, like music that shifts as you move. Maybe you're not just in the universe. Maybe you're in conversation with it. And the universe doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. It waits not for the right answer, but for your answer.
If the universe is watching you, what will you show it? The stage is set. 9 chapters ago, we cracked open the double-slit mystery, tiptoed through holographic space, tangled with time loops, and met the silent eye behind every thought. We have asked whether reality collapses without you, whether the future whispers back, and whether the cosmos borrows your gaze to know itself. Now only one question remains, the oldest question, the newest question, the question no telescope can answer for you. What will you do with the fact that you are being seen? Because if observation births reality, then every breath you take, every glance you give, every story you choose to believe is a brushstroke on the expanding canvas of existence. You are not merely a spectator sitting in the cheap seats of the universe. You are the cinematographer, the director, the actor, and, yes, the audience too. The mirror has no memory. Look around your room. Every object is frozen mid-question. How important am I to you? Your grandmother's watch, the unread book, the half-dead plant begging for light. They wait for your answer. Ignore them and they sink back into statistical fog. Notice them, really notice, and they flash into vivid reality. They feel heavier, brighter, truer. The universe is not cluttered. It is curated by your attention. Now look inward. Memories, regrets, dreams. Each one floats like quantum potential. They too ask, shall I harden into destiny or drift away as dust? The mirror of the moment is blank until you decide what gets carved upon it. And once carved, it reflects back at you forever. Attention is a vote. Every second is an election. You cast ballots with your focus. Will you vote for fear or for curiosity? For cynicism or for wonder? For scarcity or for generosity? The universe tallies instantly. It redraws the map beneath your feet. Vote often enough for beauty, and beauty appears in places you swore were empty. Vote often enough for despair, and despair obliges, painting even sunlight in grayscale. Physics calls it collapse. Poets call it enchantment. Psychologists call it confirmation bias. Whatever the label, the principle is unflinching. What you highlight, reality underlines. The courage to be seen. When the spotlight hits, insecurity scuttles out like startled insects. Am I enough? Will I fail, be mocked, be misunderstood? Remember the double slit. When particles sense a detector, they stop waltzing as waves and march single file like good soldiers. Observation collapses uncertainty, but it also collapses potential. Your task is to resist that panic, to stay fluid, playful, wave-like even while being watched. Integrity is dancing when you know the cameras are rolling and still refusing to fake the choreography. Because the cosmos isn't grading your performance, it's hungry for authenticity, not perfection. It learns through you. Give it something real. Living as a cosmic response. Imagine waking up tomorrow with one mission statement. Today, I will be a worthy answer to the universe's question. How would you speak? How would you listen? How would you spend your finite heartbeats? Would you create art that didn't exist yesterday? Apologize before resentment fossilizes? Spend an afternoon reading to a child, planting a seed, or simply sitting still enough to feel the earth spin. Great cathedrals begin with a single brick laid true. Great galaxies begin with a single point of awareness saying, yes. Your micro-choices ripple out like gravitational waves, subtle but irreversible. The praxis of wonder. Look slow. Each day choose one mundane object, a spoon, a sidewalk crack, a stranger's laugh, and study it until it becomes unfamiliar again. Watch it shift from noun to miracle. You'll feel the render engine whir beneath the pixels. Speak true. Words are wave functions for feelings. Release them carefully. They collapse possibilities in other minds. A single honest sentence can recode an entire relationship. Move first. Compliment before you are complimented. Forgive before you are forgiven. Create before you are commissioned. You are not here to react. You are here to initiate. Leave traces of light. Write anonymous notes of encouragement. Restore something broken.
Rewild a corner of your city. Act as if reality keeps score in sparks of kindness, because maybe it does. End in silence. Finish each night with 1 minute of deliberate stillness. No phone, no mantra. Just you and the watcher within. Ask nothing. Listen. That's where tomorrow's universe uploads its next patch. The paradox of privacy. You can close curtains, encrypt files, ghost people, but you cannot hide from awareness itself. Accept that radical exposure and you become fearless. The critic in your head loses jurisdiction. The stage fright dissolves. You realize the only audience that matters already knows your darkest secret and loves you anyway. Life wanted to witness itself through your eyes, or you wouldn't be here. Death as the ultimate observer event. Someday your individual perspective will wink out. Does the universe shrink by one observer, or does it reclaim the lens, folds it back into the master projector, and continue the show? Either way, live so that when the credits roll, the cosmos says, "That was an answer worth hearing." And finally, a final thought experiment. Close your eyes again, but this time imagine the universe closing its eyes with you. Feel the edges blur. When you open them, let your first sight be charged with intention. Offer the world a silent promise. Because you are watching, I will see better. Because you trust me with existence, I will exist brighter. Carry that vow like a photon across the dark. It will not return void. Roll the outro. Some truths are hidden because they are dangerous, others because they are sacred. This one was hidden because it is both. You have peered behind the curtain. You have glimpsed the ghost in the machine, only to discover the ghost wears your fingerprints. So the next time you wonder whether your life matters, remember, every star is waiting for your glance. Every atom listens for your choice. Every tomorrow leans forward, pen poised, asking, "Show me." And now, scene by scene, breath by breath, the pen is in your hand.
The final glance. So here we are. After all the particles collapsed, all the wave functions observed, all the mirrors turned inward, what remains is not a final answer, but a deeper silence. A living question that pulses with every breath you take. If the universe is watching, what are you showing it? You've walked through 10 layers of reality, from the quantum experiments that whispered, "Nothing is solid until you look," to the possibility that time itself is folding around your gaze. You faced the idea that maybe you're not just in the simulation, but you're the one pressing render with your attention, your belief, your choices. And when you stopped asking, "Who's watching me?" you started to hear the real question echo back. Who am I when I'm finally aware of being seen? Because here's the truth. The observer and the observed were never separate. You weren't placed into a world. You were braided into it, woven into the code, not as background noise, but as a vital frequency without which the song cannot play. You are not a mistake. You are not a glitch. You are the interface through which the universe becomes conscious. You are the reflection it has waited billions of years to recognize. So the question is no longer, is the universe watching me? Of course it is. Through every leaf, every photon, every pair of eyes that meet yours in the street. Through your laughter, through your grief, through your courage to wake up again tomorrow. The real question now is, what do you want it to see? Because every act of kindness, every time you choose hope when it's easier to numb out, every word you whisper to someone who feels invisible is a kind of cosmic reply. The universe offers the canvas.
You offer the color, and the masterpiece? It begins the moment you understand you were never being watched to be judged. You were always being seen so that you could finally learn to see yourself. So go, live as an answer. Paint your corner of reality with wonder, because somewhere just beyond the edges of what you can explain, the universe is watching, and it's smiling.